The last time our next guest was on the show, he made national news. Let's see if he can do it again. Senator Roy Blunt, happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome back to Big 550 KTRS.
Morning, McGraw. Good to be with you. Kelly's there too, I hope.
Good morning.
She's here keeping me honest, absolutely.
Well, good. That's what I was counting on. That at some point, if you had to be pulled back, she would do it.
Senator, it seems like, are you getting any sleep in Washington these days? It seems like the news is coming fast and furious.
It is indeed. I spoke to one group this week, and I asked if anybody in the group could remember when Donald Trump wasn't president, and no hands went up. So he does fill up the space. There is no doubt about that. And at the same time, I think we're getting some really important things done on the regulatory front. Congress is actually using the Congressional Review Act successfully over and over again. There are a lot of judicial vacancies. We start with the Gorsuch hearings on Monday, and I think he'll be confirmed by the end of next week. And so lots of significant things are happening.
So you think you'll get the 60 votes needed, or do you need 60 votes to get that through?
You know, I guess we'll see. We're going to confirm him. He's a great nominee. He is a guy who reads the law and reads the Constitution. My favorite quote of all the quotes he's made is, "A really good judge is often not happy with their own opinions because their own opinions in the law lead them to a different place than their personal opinions might take them," and that's what we need in a judge.
Let's talk about health care. That has been a white-hot subject. Where are you on this current bill, and what are your thoughts as to how to fix what is currently broken?
Well, the current bill is not going to be the final bill. I intend to work to be sure that I'm there on the final bill. I'm intending to support whatever package we can put together that repeals as much as possible and reforms as much as possible, and then eagerly waiting for step two, which is the opportunity for Tom Price to look at the 1,400 places where the Department of Health and Human Services has an opportunity to decide what the law really means, and I think a new look at that is also going to make a big difference.
A lot of people are asking the question, we'll start with small businesses, because a number of small businesses I talk to say, why should I be an expert in health care for my employees? I have a hard enough time selling widgets and dealing with tax code. Why do I now have to become an expert delivering health care to my employees? Why doesn't somebody else take that burden off me so I can run my business?
Well, you know, that's a understandable position to take, but one answer is that your employees are going to get insurance much cheaper as part of a group than they're ever likely to get individually, and the second reason is, from an employee perspective, it's great to get insurance at work, which is what most Americans still do. You know, this was an accidental system. After World War II, wage and price controls went in place, and the Wage and Price Control Administrator, when asked if we added insurance to encourage people to come to work for us as opposed to somebody else, would that violate the wage control? And the answer was no, it wouldn't violate the wage control. And so the IRS person decided, okay, if it's not wages, then it's not taxable. This is two bureaucratic decisions that created a health insurance world that's different than anywhere else in the world. But I got to tell you, if you're trying to find out if you have coverage or not, one of the greatest things in the world to be able to do is to call the HR person instead of call your insurance company and say, is this covered? So what I'd like to see is actually people get more insurance at work or at least through groups, by expanding associated health plans. That's a bill the House, I think, is going to vote on next week to broaden the definition of who you can affiliate with. Maybe you run a little restaurant, but if you're part of the National Restaurant Association or the Missouri Restaurant Association healthcare plan, you have a lot better coverage at a lot lower price, and most importantly, the people that work for you have that better coverage at a lower price.
One of the things that Republicans are stressing now is more market-based insurance and bringing competition and things like that. One of the issues I have is the person who doesn't buy insurance, relatively healthy, doesn't buy insurance, then gets sick, goes to the emergency room, gets worse care, and doesn't pay for it, which then the rest of us end up paying for it. What happens to the person who doesn't have insurance and chooses not to buy it? That seems like the market-based approach doesn't work for that person, and it falls on the rest of us who are paying insurance.
Well, I think that's the difficult challenge of protecting people that have pre-existing conditions, but giving some credibility to the importance of having been covered by insurance if you have a lot of expenses. Now, what the House bill will do is eliminate the penalty forcing you to buy a product, and I think that's the right direction to go, but it doesn't solve every problem. You know, the high-risk pools were a better solution, frankly, to what do you do with people with pre-existing conditions than just letting anybody buy insurance any day they wanted to. But the Congress is looking for new ways to encourage people to be covered without requiring them to be covered.
Do you think something gets done?
I think the odds are better than not. It's a closely called thing because one, it's very complicated, and two, the Senate is particularly narrowly divided on partisan lines. And I think that no matter what Republicans would offer on this topic right now, no Democrat is going to vote for it. So somewhere in the 52 senators, we have to find, and the vice president, we have to find a plan that 51 senators will vote for. And I think that happens, but the first thing that has to happen is we have to get a bill from the House, and they intend to do that next week. So we'll know pretty quickly whether this is going to work or we just go immediately to step two, which is Tom Price, new Secretary of Health and Human Services. Look at those 1,440 places that the law didn't say what the law meant, and you're supposed to say what it meant, and see if we can offer more choices and better access to people in health care at lower and more affordable prices.
Senator Roy Blunt, one more question for you. A couple weeks ago, we had on former Senator Jim Talent on, and he was schooling us in foreign policy, saying that presidents want levers, and you need to give presidents levers and options so that they can deal with foreign issues. And the more options and the more levers a president have, the less option to send troops. With this new budget, foreign aid is cut, State Department is cut. A lot of people are worried that President Trump is not going to have the levers and the options available when it comes to foreign policy. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, first of all, budgets are a political document in every White House, creating an exaggerated sense of what they'd like to do. And that's why every time Barack Obama's budget was offered as one of the budget alternatives, it got virtually zero votes, just like President Bush's budget got zero votes. But on the bigger question, you know, we do need to be sure that the president has the tools that we need. And I think you'd already see the president and his advisors understanding how important it is that America stand as a strong symbol for freedom in the world and a dependable ally. And I think the president and the people he's surrounded himself with are going to restore some of that sense of trust in our country if you're Americans or if you're relying on America to do the right thing.
Senator Blunt, what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day today?
St. Patrick's Day today, I went yesterday to lunch with the president and the president of Ireland at a lunch that the speaker has every St. Patrick's Day, and day early this year, I guess because of Friday. So I think I've pretty well gotten my St. Patrick's Day out of the way early.
All right, fair enough. Senator Blunt, your mail is here, so next time you're in town, swing by and pick up your mail.
I'll be by soon. See you soon.
Thank you, sir. Senator Roy Blunt checking in with all things Washington these days. 728, Big 550.